Hello. It's me, Sucha here, also known as Primal Yogi. I am sharing with you a different format of a video that I haven't really tried before. I am obviously going to be sharing with you, if you've seen from the title, my process of smoking a full-on chicken and how that experience went. The other thing I'll be dropping in here today is sharing a life update with you. And I shared a little bit, I took a little poll on Instagram because there is so much surfacing up this season, this year. Honestly, I'm just kind of free flowing and sharing it really raw on this video because I'm so deep, I'm so in the thick of it. I do plan to roll out a few videos where I probably have more focused topics of what I'll be diving into and breaking down the specific aspects of my life that I need to really figure out solutions for, and also ask for feedback from you guys, and also just kind of share with you my insights, my philosophies, and the process. One quote that I really resonate with is that vulnerability breeds vulnerability. And the reason why we have so much fear and it's hard for us to open up about these things and just show up raw on here is because not as many other people are being vulnerable. And so when we create this filter, which is essentially what it really is, regardless if that's an actual Instagram filter or if that is just blocking out certain parts of your life that you're sharing and not sharing, we create and we identify with these personas that we attach ourselves to rather than sharing just our true authentic places and showing up even in the shit of it. So I'm gonna start this video off with the smoking the chicken process, and then towards the second part of the video is where I'll be dropping in with a life update for you. Okay, we got that Traeger going, preheated it, and now I'm gonna close this baby up so it can really get warm. All right, so here we got a full chicken from Pasture Bird. They are based in Temecula, and this is what I'm gonna smoke today. I'm pretty freaking excited. I don't know if the guts and organs are inside, but I'm excited to just have the chicken, especially the thigh and the legs, and smoke it and get ready for the most exciting drip sauce I'm gonna make for this too. It is confirmed that the chicken has been gutted. Not gonna lie, as much as I love animal meat, holding a whole fucking animal, can't help to picture this. Oh my gosh, like the fucking wings, like as an actual chicken walking around. This is weird, but crazy. All right, ready to put this bad boy in. All right, so it's been about 2 hours. I'm gonna be checking on the chicken. I did wrap it in foil, and then my plan for like the last hour, take it off the foil so it can directly get onto the grills and then like get a nice, maybe it'll get a nice char to the skin. That's kind of my hope. Honestly, have never really done a full-on smoking process. I've witnessed someone smoking a brisket, and then I've also used this Traeger to smoke up some lamb, but I've never done chicken. I've tried salmon as well, so let's see how this goes. It's the foil right there, and then we're gonna open it up and check on it. All right, that still looks decently raw to me. Definitely has some ways to go, but the outside's getting a nice bake on it. I'm usually not a big chicken person. You know, I'm all about my red meat, but I'm excited to smoke this chicken. And then yesterday I happened to go to the Ecology Center, which is in San Juan Capistrano. I did some volunteering there, and part of what we did was actually hand pick and de-stem some lemon basil. And my literal favorite flavor ever is pesto. So I had the incredible idea yesterday. I already knew I was gonna be Traegering up and smoking some chicken, but I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do for the sauce or the flavor, because chicken, unlike red meat, needs to be really flavored up. Red meat I could literally eat with just salt, which is usually what I do, but I was like, oh, that just clicked. And I got to go home with a decent bunch of lemon basil. So it's like lemony basil-y. And then my mom always has garlic here, so I'm gonna incorporate some garlic, and then also some cheese that I got some raw cheese the other day. So I think it is gonna be super delicious and phenomenal. I don't follow a recipe at all. I don't know why. I have a lot of resistance to following recipes, so I like to just kind of wing it and play it by ear. I'm gonna be stepping out for about 2 hours to just work at the coffee shop because I do want it to be smoking up for a few hours. And then this evening is when I will make the drip sauce. So it's super fresh because it's pesto. It probably won't even take that long. I'm just super simple with how I like to do things. All right, so that is looking a lot more like it. I think we're ready, fam. What I did here is actually remove the foil now that it's been a few hours, and then getting the chicken right on the grill. Obviously, this is a smoker. I didn't understand really the difference between smoking and grilling when I first got this, but it's still gonna give a really nice char from the actual grill. And then I'm gonna turn it around, and then right now I'm gonna make the drip. The pesto, the amazingness for this smoked chicken. So this is the beautiful lemon basil that I got at the Ecology Center yesterday. And I'm so excited to be making a pesto with it. And it's honestly gonna be like a lemon pesto. I got 2 beautiful tomatoes. So I'm gonna actually crush up some tomatoes as a base. And then from the smoker that's outside, this was some of the juice dripping, and it's like a beautiful simmer. I'm actually going to use this as like the liquid base of the actual sauce, just to repurpose it right there. Still figuring out how I want to incorporate this cheese. This is a aged raw Gruyere. So I'm not following a recipe, but game plan is I'm gonna pick all of these, put them in here, chop up the tomatoes, put them in here, and then blend it if necessary, or see how it feels when it's all crushed up together. And then, yeah, I'm still figuring out the cheese situation. Decided I'm gonna blend this so it's just like a smooth pesto experience. You can see the bits of crushed up garlic in there. Then I'm just gonna place this entire tomato in here too. Let's go. It is taste test time. Oh, I need salt for sure. This is a little bit more bitter than I anticipated, but I think that is where the cheese will come through. Oh my gosh, I'm tasting this cheese. It is like the perfect cheese to be for pesto. It's gonna be perfect. Second taste test of the drip sauce, because now we have a little bit of salt, we have a little bit of black pepper. I usually don't do black pepper, and a little bit of that raw cheese. Oh yeah. Still a little bit on the bitter side. I think it'll be good. Need a little bit more of a creamier base. I'm thinking either yogurt or butter. All right, what's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna try a little bit of this. I'm just purely going off of taste and intuition. Third taste test. Literally, that yogurt made it so much better. I'm very satisfied with this. All right, I think we are finally ready to take this bad boy out. Wow. Flipped it over. Look at those drumsticks. This looks fucking delicious. So basically, I got a whole chicken from Pasture Bird, which is based in Temecula. And I'm not really one to stick to a recipe, so I just wanted to kind of experiment and free flow. I did put the chicken in the Traeger for quite a few hours. The thing is, and this is what I struggle with, is like, honestly, I think chicken, just sharing candidly, is my least favorite meat, even compared to seafood or other types of red meat. So it definitely requires like a lot of flavor for it to taste good. There's only so many ways you can cook it, because you can make it really like tenderized or smoked up and create that good flavor, but it still just doesn't hit me like red meat does. Because if I were to slow cook or smoke beef or any kind of red meat, it would just create such an amazing smokiness and tenderness, because the muscle texture, the fibers, the fat is a way different complexity compared to chicken. So this meal wasn't like out of this world for me, but it's probably just because I'm not a huge fan of chicken. I just really wanted to play around with it because I did get a whole chicken, and I thought that would be really fun to also use my Traeger and see what would come about from that. So what ended up happening basically is that because it was so big and because I wanted to really get a bunch of flavor in there, I really just cut it up into multiple pieces and then put all the sauce in there. It was really nice to taste a little bit of the smokiness, but then also a lot of the sauce was pretty overpowering. So I'm learning, and it was literally just an experiment, and I hope it inspires you to just use your cooking experiences as a means of play. I also think, again, I'm sharing candidly, and this has to go hand in hand with my life updates and where I'm at. I was really anticipating having a really beautiful experience with family to be able to share what I created. You know, sourcing all of the ingredients locally was something truly for me I value. It wasn't reciprocated as much with my family members that I wanted to share it with. So honestly, part of my experience with the chicken wasn't exactly what I envisioned, not just because of the actual food not coming out, but I think such an integral part of experiencing your food, whether you have it by yourself, and that could be some of the most beautiful experiences if you create that intention, or you experience it with others, is that it's truly like a communal experience where you guys are all in good energy, enjoying it together. So this isn't just me being raw and real, because sometimes you can plan to make a really cool video for YouTube, but it doesn't always go as planned. And also, taking hours to smoke up a chicken is not something I'd want to redo and recreate just for the sake of coming out with a super exciting video. But regardless, it was a fun experience. It was a good reminder that it doesn't matter really what you're eating, but also the intention and the energy and the people you're around, or if you're with yourself, that all plays a huge factor, because I never want to eat if I'm feeling in like a frustrated, low energy place where I'm just kind of resentful or angry. And I think that's so important that we must tap into. It's what really allowed me to heal more of my relationship with food as I started to pay attention to the energy that I was in. This goes hand in hand with stress eating, emotional eating, and binge eating, which is something I struggled with for years. And so that was kind of a good reminder to not eat something or just force yourself to eat or to rush an experience just because of time. I think rushing, we could get caught up into a lot, and that is like the big lesson that's been coming up for me again and again, is to not rush these experiences or rush anything with life. Really just check in and tap into how we're all feeling. Maybe if it was different timing, it would have come out different, but this meal wasn't quite what I envisioned, but it's all good. It's all gravy. You just live and learn and you go through these experiences, but it does make me really happy that I get to share it on here with my YouTube family. And if anyone does have any recipes they love smoking on a Traeger, please share them below. Definitely preference for red meat, because that's what I'm leaning towards, and I know that will come out really deliciously. I definitely have brisket on my mind. I've also seen wild game being smoked, and that's something I'd really like to get into, just that full primal experience. And now I'm going to dive into a little bit more of a life update. All right, so I think with this life catch up, what's coming through for me, what it's gonna roll out into is really an overview of multiple things I'm going to be dropping into deeper in different videos. But I'm gonna kind of give an overview and just big themes of what's coming up for me right now. All right, where do we begin? Because last year was quite a hard year. Last year, 2021, there was a lot that was bubbling up into the surface, but I wasn't really creating space. I didn't really have time for myself. I was living with a significant other in a different state. It was very codependent. I didn't really have time to drop in with myself and truly integrate and truly reflect and truly give myself the space I needed. I didn't quite yet have the courage to leave circumstances or let go of the things that were no longer serving me and that were limiting me from my growth, and also limiting the other beings around me from their growth. This year, the very beginning of 2022, I spent a week in Tepoztlan in Mexico at a retreat. I almost didn't go because I was trying to find every reason not to go, because it just felt so overwhelming. My dog was a big part of that, as far as finding a place for him to be at for the days that I was there. And I had a dear friend who was able to take care of him, and it was still a lot because my dog is definitely a handful. And that is one of many things that has been coming up for me that I'm coming to more peace with, and I haven't been able to even say out loud until recently. So that week while I was in Tepoztlan, Mexico, there was absolutely no service in the village that we were in, and So many different emotions were coming up, and because there was really no technology and no service, and we were almost camping, but it was still kind of like an enclosed cabin, we were so close to nature and the energy was so strong there. I almost didn't sleep most of the nights, and the emotions and the anger and everything that was coming up was unbelievable. At that time, I was going through some pretty intense challenges with family of mine, and family stuff can be almost the hardest because when they're family or people who are like literally married into your life, whether it's through parents or family is almost the hardest, because especially when people are blood related or if they're married into your family, it's like you're almost stuck with them. You can't just run away. Like if a friend, or a relationship, if that wasn't working out, you can still break up or end the relationship or the friendship. But when it's family, it's a little bit more difficult. There's a lot more layers. And so this particular situation got quite ugly, and I noticed that I was never actually releasing any anger from growing up, and I was never allowing myself to even release anger and emotions at this stage of life that I am. And after experiencing just horrible things that a specific human being was doing to me, I just didn't know how to cope, because I like to believe in the best of people. And so that took a big toll on me, and it was a lot to let go of. And to this day, that experience is still not completely closed up. It's still a little bit lingering, and there's still solutions that need to come about. I'm sure they'll happen in divine timing. I'm just trusting. But after that, I decided to come back to San Diego, because after going through a breakup and after going through the really difficult family shit, I wanted to be next to my close friends in San Diego. And so I spent all of pretty much last year, 2021 in Florida. And then I came back to San Diego, and it felt really good to be around my sisters, especially. Growing up, I didn't really have the best of like amazing girlfriends, and I didn't get to feel what it felt like to have healing sisterhood. And so the first few months back this year in 2022, I just really dropped into what it felt like to be single and really take space and spend time with my sisters. And then in March, literally just 1 month after, literally 1 month after moving back here and just kind of trying to figure out things with Duke, my dog, and sharing space with a roommate, I went back to martial arts gym after a long time and tore my ACL. And I really had no idea what to expect, because that was my first injury ever. And come now, I'm still yet to do an update video as far as my knee injury series, but I decided to not go with surgery because a lot was coming up for me, and completely tearing my ACL, I am still understanding what that really means. I'm still exploring movement and finding out what am I a little bit limited in and what can I push myself to do. And coming from being someone who's really fast-paced and always active, this was a huge lifestyle change. I was on crutches for almost like 2 months and limping as well, and I couldn't even walk my dog to go pee or poop, and that was really humbling. It almost felt like the entire time I was injured, I couldn't even really nurse my own injury, because I was so devastated about the fact that I couldn't show up as this amazing dog mom to my dog and fulfill his basic needs and necessities. And during that time, I really kind of had to drop in and realize, like, I can't keep just trying to make it work and do everything myself. I need to ask for help. But at the same time, I also realized and felt really lonely, because I was so used to being in longer term relationships where I had someone that I could still kind of lean on and open up to, although it was more codependent and not actually helping me grow. It was keeping me in a really comfortable place, but stuck in this cycle. And again, I keep coming back to codependency, but it made me very codependent. And so being there for myself and experiencing all the emotions that were coming up as far as being single, feeling lonely, sitting with myself at home for hours and hours because I was physically injured and I couldn't even go to the grocery store or things that I was usually doing. And so now asking for help and receiving help and accepting that was hard. And then so many things with even just my body were coming up. I mean, I was so attached to this physical body and how it looked and how I was able to work out and how I was able to move. And so re-meeting myself in this body that was now a little bit more imbalanced because I completely had to shut off any muscle engagement, any use of my left leg for months, was really, really different for me because it brought to light how much I was attached to my body. And although I speak a lot about this and I talk about how aesthetics and looks are in everything, and it made me realize like how attached I still was to that. And so I was taking a lot of time for reflection. But the beauty of that was I was able to reintegrate movement and come at it with way more mindfulness than ever before. I really understood what it was to be mindfully moving. And although I talked about that before, and although I've been teaching yoga for years and done so much training, I had to go through this injury and reintroduce movement back in my life from a complete amateur beginner to understand that, and to also come from a place where I was injured, where I had to humble myself and I couldn't just whip my leg up into birds of paradise during a class, and I had to actually say, oh, maybe I just gotta like lie on my back for this one, or use multiple blocks and bolsters to support my knee and where I'm at. So that all happened. Now it's like May or June, and I'm starting to feel a lot of resistance to where I was living, because at the beginning of the year, I had set the intention that where I was living, which was a much smaller, minimal, compact place, was just temporary. I really wanted to move into a bigger space, ideally have my own place, but also open to roommates and maybe a different type of living experience where it's closer to nature. There's all these intentions that I had made at the beginning of the year. And so I think God knew that I was staying really comfortable. And so all of these other things were coming up for me, and became really, really hard and challenging to have and maintain my lifestyle and try to make these strides with my career, and even just focusing on myself and what I actually had to nurse myself on, like nursing my knee, opening up my heart back again and moving on. All of these things were really difficult when basically I was realizing my world was revolving around my dog, Duke. And I didn't realize how many sacrifices I was making. And so there was a lot of resistance coming up, and he was a big catalyst as to why I'm currently going to be moving out of my place. And actually, as I'm speaking right now, I don't know where I'm gonna move, and I don't really know what's gonna happen. And it's almost like God was saying, like, you know, you asked for this. You asked for me to remove all of the things in life that were distracting you, that weren't serving you to carry out your higher purpose, your bigger mission. And I'm gonna slowly, but it almost feels like lightning fast speed, take out all of those things for you. And so that's almost been happening since last summer. I feel like since last summer, everything in my life that I felt attached to, codependent towards, identified with, all of those things have been releasing from me, whether that is family members, living spaces, literal environments, my physical body, relationships, friendships. And then I thought that was all that was coming up for me. And then what's coming up as of most recently, which has been really hard, is me and my relationship to my dog, and me taking a step back to see what are the pros and cons. You know, there's never a time that I would have even imagined that I could consider a different home for him, different caretaker, a different way of life. And I've just been taking this dog with me everywhere I go. And I take so much time for training. I've given him everything. And I truly don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know that I'm struggling, and I know that I had so much of my ego wrapped up in it because I wanted to be the best at everything I was doing, including being the best dog mom, incorporating Duke into my business, into everything, even like launching dog workouts. He's literally sitting right in front of me watching watching me record this video as I speak, which is just like, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with Duke. And then the other thing that's been coming up for me is my business. For so long, I've been trying to make Live Blissed work. And I'm not saying it's the end, but I just am saying I really don't know. This video is me saying I don't fucking know. This is me showing up as my authentic self. I don't know what I'm gonna do about any of these things. And I think the biggest thing coming up is like, it doesn't need to be black and white. I don't necessarily need to know right now. But with business, I've been trying to force it, and so much has been coming up. I've been reading all of the money books, all of the abundance manifestation books. I've invested in coaches and mentors, and something was still sticky and not feeling right. And I realized that my identity was attached to Live Blissed, and I didn't want to let go of that. Doesn't mean I'm not meant to run a business or whatever that means, but I was forcing Live Blissed to mold into whatever my life was instead of allowing it to breathe, just like a person. I had a friend tell me, what if you treated your business like a relationship? And asked Live Blissed, my business, how are you doing today? And I hadn't done that because I was just forcing Duke. I was forcing my business to just work instead of creating a beautiful relationship and synchronicity between both. And so it just felt like failure. So with Live Blissed, I recently had one of the biggest events, and not because a lot of people showed up, but because it was huge investments, and it was something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I had it in mind to do that when I finally came back to San Diego this year. And I tore my ACL, and I felt like I had to put so much on hold. And the second I started gaining momentum and movement back in, I was like, all right, we got to do this. And I rushed. I even hired someone to help me with all the work I was doing. And something was still not feeling like a full body fuck yes, but I still forced it. And that is something, my friends, that I'd suggest not to do, and really check in and tap in with yourself. But I forced it, and there was so many blocks coming up for me, and it felt like no matter how much marketing I was doing, it was never enough, even though I was spending every waking moment and day and hour working on this. And it was like truly that hustle burnout cycle was part of my identity. And so even during the event, I just broke down during the event, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I'm feeling so much resistance. It's almost like I don't care anymore. And this is something that I love. I love what I get to do with my business. And for me to feel like I don't care anymore, or I just want to give up, it just felt like all of my light and juice and love into what I was doing was completely sucked out. And the same exact feeling has been coming up with Duke. It's like these simple things with training him, or even walking him, or with feeding him. And it feels so much guilt just suffocating me to say all these things, to say it out loud. But I was like, how can I run a business or take care of another being when I'm not even full with my cup? You know, I go through this really big battle because with social media, our lives look freaking perfect. Everything looks perfect. And that's what the platforms are there to do. We're putting out our best selves, our most optimal selves. We're trying to encourage and motivate and inspire, but it is pretty hard to share your authentic self. And so in the midst of all these amazing trips I get to go on and experiences, I'm like feeling like I'm dying inside, and people are asking or thinking my business is doing so well, and I'm like, oh no, I've been in the negative since I started. This is supposed to be a passion and hobby, and I've been forcing it to be a business. And so again, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what direction I want to go in with this, but that's candidly where I'm at, and it's why I've been struggling. And so today, it's August August 17th, I believe, or maybe 16th. It's mid-August. I don't even know what day it is. But I don't know what's gonna happen with my dog. I don't know where I'm gonna move, but I'm moving out in 2 weeks. And I also don't know what I'm gonna do with my business. I don't know how I'm going to make money. I am feeling very uncertain about all of these things. And that's just candidly where I'm at. And I think with that, I feel pretty complete. And that's just real life. That's me keeping it raw. I never thought I could ever share all of this stuff out there, but when you realize like what the fear is coming up, it's just because we are scared of what other people think. We are scared of what a reputation or how we're gonna look towards others. But the truth will set you free. And so this is my truth. And I feel a lot lighter after sharing this. And it's still not a pleasant situation. And there's still a lot that I'm gonna have to unpack this week. But this is where I'm at, and I appreciate you so much for watching this. And if you do like these life catch-ups or these videos where I'm talking about life transitions, especially right now, please give this a thumbs up. And if you feel inclined, share any of your experiences in the comments below, because I'd love to come on and talk more about this stuff and just unpack here. So, because we're just all living our truths and our journeys and sharing it all on here, so we don't feel like we're alone. So that's where I'm at, and until next time, thank you. Just all love.